athletics and the portrayal of female athletes in the past 7 years since this film was released. Anyone?
One of the things that I have fought with the film is that it was primarily on professional sports, and I think that doesn't give us a real picture of collegiate and high school athletics and those outstanding athletes, and I'm sorry about that. Since that time, however, I think ESPN's, the addition of Sports South Carolina, we're seeing on television much more coverage of collegiate women's sports. I'm not sure that I see a great improvement in print media for high school and collegiate sports. Just a passing evaluation of that. I have no data to support that. It's a long time been successful, and a lot of that is credited to Pat Summitt's team. She's pushed it.
An interesting
Without
observation.
Title IX.
An interesting observation of Tennessee women's basketball is I think it may be the only big-time D1 team that leaves, if a court is named after a female coach, they leave the name, the Summit, they've named the court at Tennessee, the Summit, they've named it after her. They actually leave that graphic on the court during the men's games. Whereas with the women's teams, or when if that's the case at other schools, somehow it disappears during the men's game.
K-Yao stays on that court.
Which is very interesting. Oh yeah, K-Yao does too.
But state doesn't.
The state doesn't play there, that's right, Ann. Right. The men don't play there. Everybody who really is interested in the girl becoming better skilled and being able to become an athlete at a later time in their life. It's fun to watch those little ones. It's certainly very physical. They get lots of exercise. Soccer players run up, and they may never touch the ball, but they run up and down the field for a long time. But I think it's the leadership. I know again, I hate to really bash the Burlington Times, but I understand from many parents and coaches of the Little League and the children's leagues, to get a picture or even a write-up in the Burlington Times sometimes may take a month. Baseball was way back last spring, and maybe in August you'll finally get a picture in the paper. And I don't know how you fight that, but that's a problem.
I think that's a really good point, and one thing that, of course,
whether it's golf or tennis or basketball, whatever the case is, that there's starting to be more of a push towards the professional model, the specialization, which I think is something that we have to be careful that doesn't continue on also.
Athletic television coverage is that many of their commentators are former athletes who apparently are very well spoken and very intelligent. But I think that's a really interesting question, because I'm not sure how they are viewed. The tournament this weekend and next weekend's a good time for you to listen and determine that.
You'll hear a lot. There is a line of research called stacking research or positional segregation, which is kind of similar to that, where like in the 70s and 80s, it was very rare to see an African-American quarterback. And it was the people that were making decisions on the field tend to be of a particular race. And actually,
I'm not aware of any collegiate coaches.
There's been a couple, but usually it's sort of it's never a head coach. It's always an assistant coach.
Well, yeah, there are a number of assistant coaches, but there have been some head coaches. One very successful woman in Wilmington of a high school boys team, and received lots of recognition for that. And I think they did it the same way that Mississippi State coach Mann does in the locker room. They handle that.
And David Timberlake from here was the head coach of
A middle school football team. Yes, she was. She sure was. That was the only way she could get the teaching job, was to coach middle school football, and she took the job. Yes, she did.
I think really though, it's for women to have opportunities to learn more about the game, to be good coaches. There was talk a few years ago when Tennessee men's basketball was in flux. They needed a new coach, and there was all sorts of talk going on about, well, why don't we have Pat Summitt be the men's coach? And that was a serious, I think some people were kind of trivializing that idea, but many were serious about it. So I think that that's a possibility, but women need to have the grounds to be able to prove their knowledge and to be able to continue to kind of break.
Because K-Yao was one of those, Pat Summitt is one of those, many of her players learned the game so well that they become very successful coaches. And then that gains additional support for their own teams too. So